What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, man? It's late night. What's up with you? Listen, a funeral is it as you get older, they change. It's not the funeral, it's not as innocent as it's supposed to be. How about that? It's not as innocent as it's supposed to be. People change, man. Life is difficult, it's not easy. And in some of us, it breaks us, man. It just breaks us. It's just some of us, we have to admit, we can't take it, no matter how hard we try. It's just too much for us. And some people, believe it or not, some people don't even go to funerals because they can't take it. Now it is a process and it's a ceremony. And it's something that you have to get used to. I don't know what we got. Yeah. It's something that you got to get used to. But Jesse Jackson Jr., he came out pretty hard against all three of the presidents. Well, Bill, Obama, and was there someone else? It was Bill, Obama. Was it what? Joe and Joe Biden. He came against him. They went over time. They went over time. These are older men. These are Biden is 84. I would say funerals don't have no effect on him at this point in his life. He doesn't look at it the same way. It's a sacred. It is. It's a sanctuary. It's a church. Funeral is a very sacred, sad experience. But for a guy like Joe Biden, probably not. Not him. He's 84. He's outlived a lot of his friends, probably his family. He's been to enough of them. He's been to quite a few of them. So going to a service for him doesn't carry the same effect that it does with others. And that's not good. That's not good. The family put out a warning before everybody who was going to come, all the presidential candidates, all of the big name people. Um, they put out a warning. They wanted them to say, "Hey, listen, let's not make this political." Jesse was about Jesse was about helping the needy. Jesse was about feeding the hungry, housing the homeless, healthcare. That's what Jesse was about. If you want to make it into a political leaning, I mean, we all, both sides want to help the people, right? So Jesse Jackson, that's what the family was trying to say. That's what Jesse Jackson Jr. was trying to say. And of course, they ignored they ignored him and they made it political. They ignored everything he said and they just jumped out and made it political. It's a are we going over the Jesse Jackson funeral, sir? They made it political, and Jesse Jackson Jr. is upset now. There are some things with him. Well, you know what? We're not even going to do that. We're not even going to do that. Anyhow, of course, Fox News, of course, other people have jumped on top of this thing, right? They're making a big deal about this thing. They're making a big deal about what went down. It was pretty good. It was a pretty long. It was about five. It goes about 5.5 hours. If you have that type of time, it's pretty long. It's a long funeral. You had some performances. You had Jennifer Hudson. You had the Wayans. A couple of songs from them. You had some lesser known people perform. You had family members talk. You had reverends talk. You had politicians talk. The whole background, if you see it, is that's the choir. Is that the choir? Okay, it might be the choir. The whole background is like 90% black females in the background at his funeral. Um, Obama, who never invited him to the White House, got up and talked about him. Many people don't believe that Obama even knew him. They don't even believe Obama knew the man. They believe that Obama, there was a political opportunity and he seized it. And it's sad, though, when you think about it. Obama could have reached out to that man, invited him to the White House a couple of times, all for the respect aspect. He didn't do it. He didn't do it. Jesse Jackson did a lot for America. He did a lot for America. It wasn't just the Democratic Party. Well, but then again, the Democrats, they went into the Democrats went into the funeral knowing they had an agenda. They was going to make it into a campaign rally. And when you look at it, now that I look at it, it looks like the BET Awards. It looks like the BET Awards when you take a look at the way the music, the singing, then the speeches, people getting on stage. It was it was a proper funeral minus the political commentary. But then again, what you're inviting politicians to a funeral. What do you expect them to do? They're politicians. Obama's not a reverend, he's a politician. He really didn't know Jesse Jackson. He got up and spoke. He went in the most on Trump. He went in the most. Joe Biden, I don't know what he was talking about. Joe Biden was cursing in the church. Joe Biden should have been asked to leave. He was just, man, he lost. That's a church, man. What are you doing? You know what I mean? That was like, Joe, Joe's a church. But then again, like I said, he's 84. The aura has worn off for him. The innocence is worn off for him. He doesn't see it the same way others see it. So yeah, Joe Biden. Joe Biden came out there. He was saying things. You had Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton got up there, and Bill Clinton knew him. He knew Bill Clinton's wife. He knew Bill Clinton's daughter. He counseled Chelsea when Bill was going through his impeachment. As a reverend, he spoke to his daughter and tried to comfort her and explain to her she needed to stay focused, on her own goals and don't let this distraction make her lose her focus. And he prayed with her, and they listened to it via the speaker phone, so they heard him. He was talking just to to Chelsea, but that was just one of the things that Jesse would do. He would help the people as much as he could, and he was behind the scenes a lot. And unfortunate for him, he didn't get the nomination, and unfortunately for his family, Kamala, Obama, Joe, Bill all went against the wishes of the family, and they made this man's funeral into a campaign rally. Now, what do you say? You got Kamala Harris, you got Barack Obama, you got Joe Biden, you got Bill Clinton, you got Donald Trump. Would you like to say that that's a good life lived? He was around a lot of power, man. He went from poverty, I think it was in Arkansas, to rubbing elbows with some of the most prominent men of our lifetime. Also, those men, with the exception of Trump, taking time out of their day to come to his funeral. That's a good thing, man. Now they disrespected the family because he did tell them not to do it, and they did it. But the people, the people were given a 6 hour ceremony. So that's just they had church, bro. They said they're going. That's church. That's church, and that's a when they last that long. That's a guy who has a lot of friends. 6 hours. I've seen funerals last 15 minutes. I've seen funerals. You go to the funeral. You're there. Say you work with the guy or you work with her. Something happens. You go. I tell you who it really goes down on. I know Jesse Jackson was a black man, but a lot of black men, they have real short funerals, man. They might be three people there. It might be his daughter, maybe his ex, maybe a family member, maybe a sister, maybe not though. No, I'm saying a lot of times they, a lot of this stuff. We're talking about this Jesse Jackson. You need to make these things. You need to prepare yourself for your own funeral. When you pass away, what are you going to do? You need to create the atmosphere so that you can have a big funeral. Jesse did that. I'm not saying he did it to do it, but the way he lived his life, he opened it up where his funeral lasted 6 hours. That's a long funeral. Especially we live in the age of fast food and we want it right now. And yeah, yeah, he said my dad's funeral was huge. Yeah. Men in general not supported when dying. Yeah. We're very, very disposable, man. Unfortunately, the way we exist in this society, we're extremely disposable. And if you're a black man or a white man and you live your life and you're not going to these Thanksgivings and these Christmas, you're not really embedded into family. If you're getting a divorce and you're living your life pretty much, you take care of your kid, but you don't really do anything but work, you're not going to have a whole lot of people if you pass. I can promise you that. I can promise. And we're not even talking about a guy who's not coming up with money. He's behind on his support and he's in the streets. Oh man, that guy will have nobody at his funeral. There'll be nobody there. And these things happen, they don't get a lot of attention because they're not popular. But these things, you can look at this Jesse Jackson. This is something to tell you. The way he lived his life, you can disagree with his politics all you want to. He reached out to a lot of people. He reached out to a lot. At the time, he knew him and Trump, you live your life, you're born one time. They happened to pass as they were living their lives, and Trump helped them out as far as financially. Trump came to some of his rallies. Trump was one of the few, if you want to go there. Well, it was other white people there, but really, if you want to be honest, he's one of the few white guys to be so prominent around Jesse Jackson. And Jesse knew all of those people you saw at his funeral. Well, he didn't know Obama. They didn't really like each other. He didn't know Obama, but he knew Bill Clinton. I don't know how much he knew Joe Biden. Joe Biden go way back before Clinton. Joe Biden was what in the Senate when he was running in '84. Joe Biden was in that Senate, so I don't know how much. But just because you're in the Senate and you run for president, that don't mean you know these politicians. These people are not easy to meet anyhow. Period. Nevertheless, just somebody random who's running for office. Jesse Jackson Jr. is upset. This bothered him. This troubled him. Where I disagree with him, their bad behavior at that funeral, going against the family's wishes, generated an extreme amount of publicity for Jesse Jackson that he probably wouldn't have got. And that funeral looks like something that looks like the BET Awards. Jennifer Hudson was there. It was Isaiah Thomas was there, and these people were talking 15 minutes, and that thing lasted 6 and a half hours, and many of it they had to cut out a lot of it. They had to cut pieces out of it because it was so long. Yeah, Jesse Jackson, he will never be forgotten, man. Jackson action. Jackson ran against George Bush, the George Bush Sr. You guys don't remember George Bush Sr. Pretty good. George Bush Sr. No, you got to go look at it. Go look at George. He's passed away now, but George Bush Sr. He was pretty good as a Republican. He was much better than Reagan. I'm talking about on his stump, on the stump when he was stumping for the nomination, and he was doing his stump speeches. George Bush Jr. George Bush Sr. Don't underestimate him. He was as far as that. I was shocked by him. I never thought I would see a guy give a campaign rally the way he did it. At the time, that's when Jesse was running, and Jesse was having wonderful rallies. But George Bush was on the other side. George Bush started stepping his game up, man. He came pretty solid. George Bush Sr., I have no problem with him. I don't particularly well, that's a different story. And yeah, keep hope alive though. We've moved beyond that, man. We're into a whole different world now. And your circle of friends right now, who do you associate with? Look at this: Donald Trump, Jesse Jackson. Who would have known? Both of them would have been so impactful. It's 2026. They have, all types of rich and powerful people coming to their funerals. Trump is about to, he's dropping bombs on Iran. He's the leader of the free world. You will hope that as you grow, man, that you would associate with people who have an impact in their lives the same way. I don't know. The Democrats, they did sort of hijack his funeral, and they all talked longer than they were supposed to. Why'd you invite him? What do you possibly get with Kamala Harris? She's the vice president, but what do you get by why'd you invite her? Did she even know him? I don't think she knew him. It was good entertainment, though. If you made it through the political speeches, it was good entertainment. There was a lot of upcoming people. Who knows with Jesse Jackson Jr., who knows what his future holds? He had an incident, though, years ago. I don't know if he recovered from that. Didn't he go to jail? I'd have to go and look it up. I'd have to go and look it up. You don't bring politics to a funeral. That's inappropriate. That's disrespectful. You leave your politics at the door. You come in to a funeral and you pay respect to the dead. You honor the dead. You show support to the family. You leave your politics at the door. You also, if you're a different faith, if you're a Muslim and the ceremonies in a church, you leave your faith, obviously, you know what I mean? You don't bring that in there. The fact that they got on stage and made it into a political campaign rally, that's disrespectful to the family. And that's what you have to understand. You can say what he wants. They can say what they want. He came out, Jesse Jackson Jr. came out, and he was very upset. They can say what they want. He's the that family's what you're talking about. Yeah, he was a famous person. Yeah, they're broadcasting it. But you're concerned with the family of the Jacksons. His wife is still around. I don't even think his wife, I didn't see his wife. I don't think she got up and spoke about her husband. Isn't that sort of strange? Isn't that strange? And that's what a funeral is. A funeral is a sad experience. There should have been more singing, less talking, more singing, more singing. Yeah, I thought so. He said Jesse Jr. did serve some prison time. Yeah, yeah, and that's probably why he may not have been a good choice to represent the family. Perhaps they could have went with the daughter. Perhaps had the daughter made that comment, it would have been taken a little bit more to heart. Maybe, huh? The Democrats went into a funeral and talked down on Trump. If Obama can declare a press conference right now, Joe can do it, Bill Clinton can do it, George Bush Jr. can do it. They can all declare a press conference right now and say their have their opinions about Donald Trump aired. They don't have to. You don't have to do it at a funeral. You don't have to do it at a funeral. There's ways to do it. You don't have to do it on the podium. Obama took liberty. He took the kindness of the Jackson, and he disrespected the family. He went against their wishes, and he was wrong to do that. And Obama, guys talk about Obama blacking out. Obama is mixed, and on top of that, Obama's a he's a hardcore Democrat. Obama didn't want to be burdened, especially with Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, all of the blacks. He didn't want that position to hurt his vote. He felt he had the votes. If anything, he put a distance between himself and them. And then he goes to this funeral and he says these things about Trump when Jesse Jackson Jr. said, "Hey, don't make it political." He asked him, don't, and he disrespected him. He made it political. There's no reason to do that. And of all people, Jesse knew him the least. Probably next to Kamala, she probably didn't know him. And when I mean know him, they might have met him somewhere, which I highly doubt. I don't think Kamala met him anywhere. But and Bill Clinton and Trump, this was back when they were young people, younger. How about that? He said he doesn't do funeral. I don't know. Trump doesn't go to funerals. If he didn't want a big political spectacle, then they shouldn't have had these politicians. Well, yeah, that's the thing. If you're going to invite a politician, if you're going to invite a politician, expect them to get into politics, man. That's simply what they do. Uh, the backlash is giving it a lot more interest. They have more. This is probably the most attention Jesse Jackson has had, because I've seen him in the wheelchair. He came out and campaigned for Kamala. He was at the Democratic National Convention. My fault. So she knows him, but she don't know him. And he came out. He waved. He didn't speak, and then they wheeled him off to the side. And because of what Obama did, Obama and Biden and Clinton and Kamala did, it's gotten a lot more attention than it normally would have got. But I think that the problem was Jesse Jackson Jr. I think his daughter should have been making the needs of the family met. I think he's going to have a problem for a long time because of that jail record. And you're talking about politicians, you're talking about rich people. They're not going to really want to be told what to do by some dude with a jail record. Right, wrong, indifferent. That probably was a bad choice to put him in charge. But it was good conversation. It looked like church, man. The black community. Black community, to some degree, has lost its way. And we're individuals now. Oh, here we go. Here we go. This guy says, well, he said, they caught him on a hot mic, yeah. Well, he was saying something that Jesse didn't like. You know, Jesse's a human being. And if it was a hot mic, it should have never been reported. That's like you getting ready to podcast. That's like you're getting ready to do a podcast and you're live and your mic is on and you're talking to your wife, you're talking to someone some private stuff. It's not meant to be aired, but it will get out. But that was not your intention. But you can't turn around and blame the person for that. They're just human beings. I don't have a problem with what he said about Obama. People got to understand these are politicians. People see race, they see black. They see Obama, they think, okay, he's a black Moses or something. That man's a politician. He's a liberal. He's a liberal. That's all. He's going to do what liberals do. He was literally cooler with Trump. What Trump didn't come. Your boy didn't come, brother. Trump didn't want to go. Trump didn't show up. He could have came. Trump could have come, but he didn't come. And he's got nobody to blame or pin that on but himself. Trump didn't go to his friend's funeral. But when all is said and done, the Democrats, they turned the man's funeral to a certain degree into a campaign rally. And it's fleeting. Yeah, Jesse's passed away, brother. Jesse Jackson is no longer with us. Yeah, you can. There should be criticism. If you're going to criticize the Democrats for what they did at his funeral, you have to criticize Trump for not going to the funeral. So that's criticize. There's criticism across the board. You have to criticize them. You have to level criticism on Trump for disappointing, disappointing his friend, disappointing the family. It would have been better. They had 3 presidents, and why not have 4 presidents? And show you the impact of uh, uh, how influential he was as a citizen. That's what you need. Yeah, he went to Charlie Kirk's funeral. He found time to do that. Isn't that something, man? I wonder if they're gonna lower the flag for Jesse Jackson. And that's the country is never supposed to be like that, where they have a side. We're supposed to all be one, but we know that's not. We know that's not true, right? I'm very serious. He said you can't. What are you talking about, man? That man could have. He, he could have went there. He could have went there. He don't even have to stay. He could have came there. They would have. They already had Secret Service there. He could have came. They could have said, okay, Trump can only be here for 20 minutes. Put him on stage. He said his piece, uh, showed support to the family, hopped on a plane, was out of there. He could have done that. He didn't want to do it. And that's the way it is. He would fall. He would fall to a certain degree under the term of a fake friend, you know. They when they first was out, Jesse, hung out with him. He did some things for Jesse. But across the board, when he needed him, Jesse needed him to show up. He didn't do that. And that's not good. What the expectations were across the board was that people would pay respect and people would come and people would, enjoy to a certain degree the life and share the life of Jesse Jackson and how important it was. I don't think he got the credit he deserved for that. I think, they had some stories, but he was an extremely influential man. You can see that now. He's there with Trump. He's around all of these people. Why would all these people come just to celebrate his life? But in the end, Jesse Jackson Jr. is upset. He made a big deal about, the people coming in there talking politics. Had they not come there, you know, it would have been a great service, but it wouldn't have got as much attention. And as much as you say it was too political, you didn't want to go political. If you bring in politicians, it's going to become political. And Jackson ran, man. Jackson ran for office. He ran he ran against Michael Dukakis. He ran against a group of men. What was that guy? All them dudes. I'm thinking about a lot of them dudes passed away. Uh, what's that guy? Man, I'm trying to remember. Oh man. Oh man. I think John Kemp. I think with the guy from wasn't it John Kemp when he ran against George Bush? I can't remember all the guys. Paul Simon. Oh yeah, Paul Simon. I think he's passed away. Uh, what's the other guys? Uh, was it Gephardt? Richard Gephardt? Yes. Oh man, politics. Welcome to the world of politics, man. And for a lot of people, man, Jesse Jackson drug, especially young people in their youth who could care less about politics. Jesse Jackson drug them into it. They were following him, and they found these politicians, man. Paul Simon, Richard Gephardt. What's the other guy? Other guy got caught cheating on his wife. What was the guy name? Let me go see. Hold up. Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson. Debate. That's one. That's where debate. In what 1984? Was it 1984? Was it 84? 84? No, that's got to be what 86. Let's see if I get it. Let me see. I want to know who else was on that stage. Let me see. I can't believe I said Richard Gephardt. Man, I can't believe that. I said that name. Oh man, let me see. Okay, here it is. Yeah, I got it right here. 1984 presidential candidates debate. Here we go. Let me pull that up. We're not going to play it, but bro, we a different world, man. I'm almost tempted to put this up. We are a different world. I'm looking at the way this woman's hairstyle, the video. This was VHH tape. Let me see. Uh, says right here, Walter Mondale, Gary Hart, Walter Mondale. I know it's more people than that. Hold on. Vice President Mondale, Gary Hart's policy. Where's the beef slogan? Man, times have changed, brother. Yeah, I think I'll pass on that. I don't want to see that. Yeah, I don't think I want to see that. Yeah, man, and it goes by pretty quick, man. That was what 86. Gary Hart. I think that's the one who got caught cheating on his wife. Somebody snitched on him or something, and I wonder was he there? Did he go to Jesse Jackson's funeral? Donald Trump. We got another live coming up, particular about that war. We're not gonna talk about that now though, but we have a live particular about the war. And we got more casualties. We got the seventh casualty, but there's more coming. Lots more coming. And it's gonna have a real negative impact on our community. The same way Vietnam did. It did us. It tore us apart. He said Trump is a racist. Why did you post this pic? Well, I don't know what he. It's debatable now, but then he was hanging out with Jesse Jackson. That's why I posted the pic. Is that all right with you? What's up with you, Vegas? That all right with you, bro? Huh? All right, bro. We gonna go ahead. You can go ahead and go to sleep, man. You're useless. There we go. Got rid of him. Woo! Just to sit there and listen and read that stuff, man. Woo! Just all of that anger and bitterness to just listen to that stuff, man. Yeah, Trump actually knew the man. Obama didn't even know him. A lot of Kamala didn't know him. Trump knew him. When I say knew him, he knew him more than he met him one time. He knew him more than they was on the same plane together. No, he knew the man. He knew the man. They was helping each other out. They was picking up the phone, calling people, helping him get going what he's trying to do. He knew the man. Now, unfortunately, he didn't go to the funeral, so there's got to be criticism for him. There's got to be criticism for him. He should have been there. There's no excuse for him not going to that man's funeral. That was mad disrespectful. And what do you think of the family? How you think Jesse's kids feel about Trump? Huh? How do you feel? What do you think Jesse Jackson's kids? How do you think they feel about Trump? You think they cool? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Trump maybe let's give Trump some credit. Maybe Trump, it's very possible that he'll fly in to Chicago. It won't be on the news, won't be on the press. He'll go in and pay his respects to that family because he knew those kids when they were little and they know him. And he does know his wife. And it's the right thing to do. So maybe I'm wrong. I'm still holding out faith with Trump. You know, we criticize him over here, but we're fair. We criticize him fairly. Simple as that. You guys wouldn't know about that. But I would hope he would go and see what's going on with the family and uh, honor the man's sacrifice and keep it going. Yeah, when people show you who they are, you're supposed to believe them. That's true. And we're not even on that stuff. I don't know, man. Y'all didn't know his black butt either, but steady criticizing Jesse wouldn't have helped pay one of your bills. But I bet you cashed that Trump check his first time. His first term. Well, I think you need to have your brain examined. She said a Trump check. That was a stimulus check, and that was given to us by Congress. Trump could put his name all over it. It was given to us by Congress. It wasn't him. And he said, Trump's not going to pay any of my bills either. Jesse wouldn't have helped one pay one. Nope, Jesse didn't. And no politician has paid any of my bills. Yeah, you guys need to try. You guys really have a horrible way of trying to sway people politically because it's not. That's not going to work. The insults that ain't going to work. Jesse Jackson ran for president, and he changed a lot of lives when he did. He probably was the first. They said before Obama. Yeah, before Obama. Jesse did a lot. He had a lot of friendships with African leaders. He would go. He met a lot of the African leaders. So he was running for office, but his mentorship was coming from different directions, and he was a viable threat. He almost won. He almost won. but he couldn't get over the hump. Jesse bought back. Yep. Jesse bought back prisoners of war. Jesse was going against, well, this was the Reagan administration. He was running against that administration, and yeah, Jesse Jackson was something else, man. They had never seen a guy like that before, and I mean, no guy like that had made it onto the political stage, and was able to win over votes, and Super Tuesday, run for office, be a challenger, able to get up. He was winning a lot of those debates. Jesse Jackson was winning those debates, man. He was killing those guys. They would say something, and Jesse would get back down on it. And Jesse was far more entertaining. So he was able to get his message out, but the message was so more entertaining than Richard Gephardt and the Jim Hart or whatever. Walter Monday. Come on, man. You joking, man? So, yeah, a lot of people do dislike him, man, without cause. Michelle, we're going to set you free in a minute, okay? Somebody said, Black Republicans a cult. I didn't see the actual podcast. I saw the title. I never looked at them that way, but the way this woman's up here talking about, well, we know this is a man pretending to be a woman, but the way that they're trying to push this, like, they say the same thing, man. It's the same thing over and over again. And it's a waste of time. You're gonna vote for who you want to vote for. So people make that decision when they make that decision. You need to look into Trump and Jesse's relationship. Trump gave Jesse a free office in his Trump Tower. Trump always spoke highly of Jesse. Jesse later turned on him. Jesse was a Rolling Stone. Well, I disagree with that he turned on him. I think Trump turned on Trump. Trump changed, brother. You talking crazy. Trump changed. And people reminded me that when he was with Jesse, he was a Democrat. When he was with Jesse Jackson, he was a Democrat. When he ran against Hillary, he ran as a Republican. So he changed. Hats off to Joe Biden, man. Joe Biden went to a black church. He was a minority. He went to a black church, got on the podium, and had church. All the criticism and all the stuff on him, man. I got no problem with Joe Biden, man. I think a lot of this stuff's just made up, and a lot of people just need somebody to attack. Joe Biden went to a black church and fellowshipped with them the way you would expect. Yeah, we got to get let me get this out of here. I gotta go in here and I know how to do this. Yeah. Okay. The lesson to learn from Jesse Jackson, and unfortunately, as he got sick, yeah, I don't know how many. I'm sure there's some footage out there the last week something like that. It hadn't been released. Unfortunately for him, there wasn't a lot of attention as he was fading out. And that's how we do our older people. We just dismiss them. That's how we do. But the funeral had some highlights. Jennifer Hudson was there. She was singing. Let me see. Let me go over here. I think there should be flags flying at half staff. I would hope. But it was a great funeral in the sense I can agree. It should not have been it should not have been a political pep rally that it turned into. That was wrong. He was worth more than that, man. Said Jesse Jackson visited him when he was at VCU in the 90s. Yeah. Yeah. Jesse was Jesse did a lot. And unfortunately he's passed away, man. And it's sad to me, that Donald Trump didn't go to his funeral. I think Trump could have went. I understand he want to see Biden and all of them. This thing where Trump talks about people and then he's afraid of those people. I don't understand that. Yeah, I know who it is. He talks about people and then he's afraid of those people. So it messed up his funeral. Yeah, so that was wrong. And we're getting these updates on this war, man. They're not good. They're not good at all. So he was not wanted there. Why should he go? Why wouldn't they want him there? Why wouldn't they want him at a funeral? But I agree with you though, man. If you can show me somewhere where they say he wasn't wanted, I can agree with you. But I didn't see that. I didn't see that. I didn't hear that. It doesn't have to be Trump. I saw JD Vance. I told you he's going to do that. I told you he's going to do that. JD took the seventh casualty came up. Now you're going to see JD Vance. Trump ain't going to go to that. That's why he wore his hat. Trump's not going to do what's expected out of him, man. We know that. No, they wouldn't. If Trump would have came, he would have been respected. You don't go to black churches, whoever you are. They would have respected him, and the family too. He's there because the family wants him there. No, nobody would have said anything to Trump. Now, maybe outside or something while he's trying to get back in this limo, some clown would have been on a roof or some clown would have been somewhere, but not in that church. They wouldn't have let it's called putting you out. You just get thrown up out of there. They'll throw you out of a church, man. If you in there talking, if the man's trying to read his scripture and you just in there running your mouth, They'll kick you out. They'll ask you to leave. I think this was a good day. I think this was a good day for the black community. We saw a black man being honored. That doesn't happen very often. So from that perspective, it's a proud day. I'm sort of proud of this day. We watched a black man be honored by 3 presidents. Have a 6-hour funeral, have big names singing, Hudson's. His family's all there. They're healthy, they're grown. We watched that, and as a black community, that was a good day for us because of the way the black community is displayed, as the way it's portrayed to the world. It's portrayed that broken families, thuggery. You can't even get the postman to come to your funeral. A president? Yeah, it's pretty bad, man. And you know the truth is, see, we just saw that goodness, and we knew we need to see more of that. But the truth is, man, that those are some. That's not a good time, man. You got people. Your mom poor. Say you 43, your mom's still in the projects, and you out doing stuff, and you lose your life. Uh, that's sad, man. You guys need to go to church because you got to understand these things happen. How do you handle that? She doesn't have any money, man. You could go talk to her mom. You go talk to his mom and say, man, she probably dropped out 8th grade. She's been on the county. She ain't saving no money. She got grandkids being dropped off. We need $9,000 to bury him. Where they gonna get the money from? Where they gonna get the money from? And it was an unplanned expense, and they don't have any money, man. If they had $9,000, they probably would have get the car fixed, or they probably would have moved. Yeah, it's a cruel world out here, man. You got to have that insurance, man. You got to be insured up. You got to be protected. He said, "Why doesn't she have any money? She's been living on candy on welfare and food stamps her whole life. One of her kids, he dropped out. He got into the wrong things. He's 42 now. He loses his life. He's not married. What do you think they do with that body? That body goes back to you. That's your kid. They're gonna put a bill. You're gonna get charged for it, but that's your kid. You are next of kin. You are responsible for his burial. That's the long and the short of it, man. Easier said than done. See, guys paint this picture. Matter of fact, my neighbor, well, not my neighbor, my lawn care guys, all them guys came across the border illegally. But now, because of their church, they go to this church. They got their paperwork done now, and they're all married. They got families. They cut my grass. People would say, "How come black people don't do that?" I don't know. Why don't they do it? It seems like a pretty good way to start. Just cut yards. You get enough yards, it's just like cutting in a barber's chair. You're gonna make some money. You move snow in the winter, cut yards in the summer, blow leaves. You can make money at this stuff. Jesse Jackson, Jackson Action. Yeah, but I'll tell you the truth. He never went against him, but George Bush Sr. in his youth, you should have seen him. He could do the debate thing. I mean, he could do a campaign rally. He was pretty good at campaign rallies. And actually, when I saw Jesse do his, it was okay. And I don't even keep up with this stuff. Now, you understand this is politics. I don't keep up with this stuff. Jesse Jackson ran. I said, "Oh, who's this?" I said, "A black man running for president? What do you know?" So, but then I saw Jesse do his campaign rally. And then I turned the TV on to, I think it was on C-SPAN. They C-SPAN, so you know how C-SPAN is. C-SPAN got that school. They got that little that voiceover or whatever, and they'll have a school bus. C-SPAN today, we were covering a political campaign rally of Jesse Jackson. Blah blah blah. He was in Idaho. He was in Omaha. Now we'll join him now. When they go in, and then right after that, George Bush Sr. came on. Now I was like, do I want to even see this? But man, he did way better than Jesse Jackson, man. I said, damn. He had that crowd fired up, bro. He had them people ready to go. And he became Reagan's vice president, but he almost beat Reagan. And he was one-term president. Then his son got in there. Time changes you, man. Donald Trump, he was a Democrat. He was a different man. And I don't know what this board of peace, what is that? Ballrooms being made. What's going on, man? That don't come across as a guy who's about to leave, man. You adding extensions on? Well, that's not a person that's about to leave a property. But the Democrats went in there and they showed out, man. They showed off. They went in there and to a certain degree, they were disrespectful. They were disrespectful to um the family, the family of Jesse Jackson. And what do you do, man? I remember we had a funeral, and I remember this, right? Because see, we we real ghetto over here, right? So we had this funeral, right? So I went out and I said, I need to find me somebody who can sing this particular song. I want this song sang at this funeral. So I ran into dude. It was a brother, and he sang something like some what was that stuff? He sang he was saying like old rugged cross, right? He said he had that in print. Said he had been singing that all his life. I didn't like it though, and I said, "Well, can you sing this song?" And he said, "Well, can you get the people to play it?" I said, "No problem at all. I'd like for you to sing this song." I said, "Go ahead and try." And he tried to sing it. He know the words. And he sang a little bit of it. And I said, "Can you learn that song?" And of course, I had to pay him, right? I said, "Can you perform that at the funeral? I'll pay you, right?" He said, "Oh, no problem at all." And he said, "What about Old Rugged Cross?" I said, "Not necessarily, but not this time. But we got you." So, man, the man come there. All of us in the church, we all looking up. This man gonna get up there and begin to sing the song I gave him. Then all of a sudden say he forgot the words. But he'll give us a rendition of Old Rugged Cross. I said, "Man, now I didn't do it. I should have yanked him off stage. I mean, get your ass out of here. What's wrong with you? I don't want to hear that. I want to hear what I paid you for." And the good thing about it is I didn't have to pay him till after the ceremony. And he didn't get paid. I don't know what's wrong. That dude wanted me to pay him to sing his song. I don't want you to sing your song. I want you to sing my song. It's got a special meaning. You wouldn't know. I don't want to explain it to you. Just sing the song. And he couldn't even do that, bro. Ain't that something? We had a couple of singers, man. We had a guy, man. He was on American Idol. He didn't make it. He went to like the second round. He made it like he got signed, he got on there, and then they went somewhere for the first week. He made it out of that, and then the second week he got voted off the show. I had him come there and he sang "Never Should Have Made It," and he did it from a like a vocal. Uh, he did it from a religious, his own style to it. Man, the whole church lost their mind over that. He was a good singer, man, and he also remembered the lyrics, so they have no problem with him. But as you live your life, man, the story that needs to be told is where will you be, man, 30 years from now? What this is 84? What is this? What's this? 40 years ago, 30 years ago? Where will you be 30 years from now? And who's going to sing your praises? Who's going to tell the world about what a great person you were? Or are you going to wait and you're going to continue to be a jerk so that when you pass away, nobody comes to your funeral, even your kids? And if you go and talk to these funeral home people, they see that all the time, man. They see it all the time. They see people show up practically alone. And that's called cremation right there. They have a mass landfill. It's a landfill. They do it to homeless. They do it to, yeah, find a homeless behind a garbage can. They try to ID them. If they can't, they cremate them. And there's a mass landfill that you go to. They put you in the landfill. You don't get a grave. That's how they handle it, man. Funeral run you about $12,000 right now. If you haven't made preparations, it's not going to be good for you, man. Yeah, Amira, they went in there and they was they did all of them, and they disrespected the family by doing that. It ain't even a question that he got to remind them. They just shouldn't have done it. That was a funeral. That wasn't a campaign rally. While you up there talking about Trump? The people voted Trump in. He's the president. They voted Obama in twice. You were the president. One thing I'll say about Trump, if you really watch him, he's right. America has always been a very, very powerful country. We just don't want to, for some reason, we want to hold back. Now, I don't agree with the Iran and carpet bomb. I don't agree with war crimes. Okay, I don't think we should commit war crimes, but it's a very, very powerful country. Now, I don't agree with bribery. I don't think that I don't agree with that at all. You don't have to bribe someone to get your way. But this is it says Jesse Jackson took a country that wanted to put black ambition in a box. He blew the box apart twice on national television in front of the whole world. He didn't just register voters, he manufactured hope. He made millions of people believe that the highest office in the land wasn't off limits to someone who looked like him. Without Jesse Jackson 1984 and 1988 campaign, there would never been a President Barack Obama, period. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. And that's also history. Jesse Jackson required America to put respect on his name. He earned it. Jesse Louis Jackson, 1941 to 2026, no equal, no sequel, rest in power. He came through, man, a life well lived. And he influenced a lot of people, man. He says, I am so grateful to have been able to watch the memorial around the world. He was such a presence, even in my suburban childhood. That was a place where families of varying cultures were living. In the 1970s, we were influenced by Jesse Jackson's speeches. Now, you know, that's sort of ridiculous, right? Yeah, this dude, you do live overseas, brother. You live overseas. That man said 19. Wait, okay. Okay, no, no, no. I stand correct. He talking about civil rights. Okay. Yeah, I never heard any of those. You talking about Dr. King and civil rights speeches. I never heard them. We had ever, we even had his Rainbow Coalition. I listened to the speeches one by one throughout the days on walks in my car in the parking lot, in the driveway around the world. I cried plenty. Many thanks to his family and supporters for letting us participate and remember and reflect. Very important. Yeah. This Amy, Uganda, something like that. His appeal was worldwide. The only thing that slowed him down was the infidelity with his wife and his health. That's the only thing that slowed him down. The sky was the limit for him. Yeah, rest in peace, man. Rest in peace. You're right, Tony. Bear Claw, goodbye. Um, we need to just take a moment, man, and reflect, man. Uh, where's the new Jesse Jackson at? Where are the new leaders? Where's our future? We're lost, man. Hoover said, "I want to cut the head off of blacks." He said blacks can't have a messiah. They said not blacks. He said we need blacks to be keep doing exactly what they're doing, filling up our jails, slaughtering each other, uh, doing uh, slave labor type. Because they don't have any qualifications. We need them to keep doing what they're doing. And Jesse was an example of that. Jesse said when he was born, Jesse Jackson said the day he was born, they put out a shovel with his name on it because they said you're gonna be a ditch digger. Soon as you grow up, you're gonna be just like all the other blacks. We need you to go out here and dig ditches. And Jesse said he refused to do that. So he applied himself. And when he was bored, he shook it off and got right back down to work. He said he just knew there was more for him than digging the ditch. No disrespect to those who do, but he said it wasn't for him. And he defied it, man. And not just in America, but across the globe. Let me drop this link, man. It's late night. I just wanted to celebrate his funeral, man. I could go and get Reverend Sharpton or Barack Obama. I'm not going to go get that, though. I could go and get what they're saying. I'm not going to get it. I just simply accept that they said some stuff. I don't need to go out here and get the exact quotes. And most of them, when they got up, they talked about themselves. But shout out to Joe Biden and Bill Clinton. They went into a majority black church and they saw that all it's about is church and people loving each other, people helping each other, people supporting each other. They saw that. They seen the black community. When you look at that church, when you look at that Jesse Jackson, 6 hours, that's the black community. That's the side of the black community that's never talked about. The side of the black community that you hear about is the Zeus side. They're gonna push the Zeus, the baddie side. They're gonna they push that. The thugs, the thugs that you see on Twitter, the thugs who call podcasting while all they do is talk about their criminal activities. The thugs, right? That has always represent a horrific part of the black community. When you saw Jesse, this is the way you leave. You don't want to leave, but when you leave, you want many people singing your praises because you left a lasting impact. That's how you want to go out. Dying in a hospital bed when you got 6 kids and 2 ex-wives and nobody shows up but the nurse, and your body is sent to the funeral home and 2 people show up, a guy you work with and your next door neighbor, and that's it, man. That's not a life lived. That's mistakes. That's why you got a chance. You need to correct the mistakes, man. You need to go out here and correct your mistakes. And you need to look at it from the standpoint of, if you can't do it in the box, you got to do it before you get in there. Yeah, and these teaching moments are opportunities, man. If your life is headed the wrong direction, this is opportunity for you to make those changes, man. Jesse had a 6 hour funeral. Now I know most of us will never see 6 hours, brother. 6 hours? That is a funeral. But he says, Delalu, Deli LaRue. Anyhow, I appreciate your platform. Bottom line, all that is taking place in the world is prophecy. Well, I don't know about that. Let's move on and respect all the people. We're all struggling to survive. We want a future for our children. Well, we do want a future for our children. I don't agree with the prophecy stuff, but yeah, you don't get anything by that. Um, we all shed it, even Iran. This is the thing. When you break it down, even Russia, even these people, we share this planet. All of that smoke, all that oil field stuff, that's going to pollute. It's going to come over here. You're going to see black rain. It's not going to be as bad, but it's going to float over to us because we all share this country. It's going to that soot still is going to be up there. You'll see. Not to mention all of the health problems the people of Iraq going to have in the future. Yeah, that's crazy, man. When you think about it, look, I get you, man. I'm 100% on the team, man. I live in America, right? I support the administration. But when you say a girls' school got hit, I know they were Iraqis, man. I know they're a bunch of Iraqis. But still, man, if you have faith and you believe in the Bible, is that right? Is it right to do that? They're non-combatants. Give me a hat, give me a uniform, give me boots, give me weapons, give me communication devices, set me down in a theater of war. And then if I happen to lose my life, I had an opportunity to try to protect myself. That's why non-combatants are school. You shoot a school with a tomahawk? Isn't that sad, man? And the UN, all of the world's gonna take a look at that, man. That's terrible, man. He said, I pity those people. Yeah, yeah. And the thing about it is Iran's not really the problem. They're the problem for Israel, but they're not the problem for the US. The problem for the US is China and Russia. And see, that's a win. If you can bully them, if you can get them in order, then you winning. But Iran, like you said, they ain't really got no navy. They ain't got no air force. They're going through sanctions over there. That's crazy, man. That to me, that challenges your Christianity to sit back and see the way they're carpet bombing the people over there, going after soft targets, non-combatants, and then you have the nerve to claim you're a Christian. I don't know about that, man. I do not know about that. I understand defending yourself in the theater of war, but you cannot carpet them people. All right, whatever, man. Let me be quiet. Let me be quiet. Don't nobody want to hear what I got to say, man. Yeah, yeah. And we're so modernized now, man. We share the same world. If you go on TikTok, if you want to keep up with the war, go to TikTok. All types of videos where they're standing there. They're on the ground filming, and you can find out what's going on. He says they disrespected Jesse Jackson's funeral. Let's see, that was the 80s, man. So what you talking about? Jesse and Trump were hanging out, what, in 83, 82? What was that? That was MTV. That was cable. No, that was cable. Cable wasn't even nationwide. Internet wasn't no dial up. It was a phone line. The internet, but no, you go back to 94. If you go back to 1992, 93, that's the early stages of cable. That's Donnie Simpson Video Soul. That's MTV with two DJs, three videos. All of those channels came on. Man, it was 1,000 channels. HBO, HBO popped on that, man, and you could finally see like a movie. It wasn't from Blockbuster. It was like a movie, and it was unedited. It was wild, man. It was a wild world back then, man. I'm just saying, it seems like it don't seem far away to me, but when you look at the numbers, it seems like it was a far away. Uh, I think didn't Trump go on Arsenio Hall? I think Trump sat down with Arsenio Hall. It was a different world, man, and to a certain degree, the '80s, man, that was Reagan, and we was a different country, man. We were far more. When you talk about now, we're far more safe and secure in America. When you Libya, I mean, we didn't. I didn't know the specifics, but the whole Libyan thing, they just he wanted to do something, they didn't want him to do it or something and all that. I mean, it's Obama and all of that going there and knocking him out or whatever. But the Democrats, they're running for office, man. They're going to do what they got to do to get votes, man. They don't really care if they step on a few toes. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, Jesse Jackson Jr.'s son is upset about it. But I'm gonna tell you something. That he got that criminal history, man. Now, okay, well, that don't mean nothing, Platt. Well, it means something to them. Those are politicians, man. They're gonna dismiss his comments. You know that, don't it? You know they're gonna dismiss his comments and say, well, those are well, we're not gonna pay attention to him because of this and that. It was a different world back then, man. And when you take a look at Jesse Jackson, when you take a look at Jesse Jackson, his impact, man. He was on all. I think he was on those shows or whatever. I can't keep up with everything. Let me see. I can't remember every. Let me see. Jesse Jackson. Let me see what he did. Here it is, right here. Jesse Jackson. Here it is, right here. Wikipedia. Uh oh. People gonna get mad at this. They say he was an ardent advocate and early supporter of LGBTQ rights. Yeah, there's a when he was running for office, that was doing AIDS. Um, now, now, I don't know about the rest, but I know there was a patient, and this was in a time when people were saying, "Don't drink out of Coke." There was a lot of misinformation about that virus, and they were telling people, make sure you don't drink out behind somebody and stuff. And Jesse, maybe he was doing it because he was running for president. Jesse had a photo op or a video where it was a white guy who was in. He had all the IVs, and Jesse reached out and grabbed his hand and prayed with him. And he wanted to show people that you couldn't get it by touch. You couldn't get it through their mouths. You'd have to be with them. You know what I mean. And nobody else was doing that. Now Jesse did it. I gotta admit that, man. I saw that. I said, man, this man crazy. He did, and Jesse didn't. Yeah, Jesse, because Jesse would pray. That white man was up in there, and Jesse prayed with that white man. And he might have been, gay or whatever. I don't know, but so, and I think this is a reach too. I think he was for medical thing. I don't know about. I never heard him say anything about that LGBTQ. I never heard him say anything about. I'm serious. He was a Democrat. So if that what you mean, he was a Democrat, but that goes against the Bible. He is a reverend. He was born in South Carolina. He became a vocal critic of the Reagan administration. He launched his presidential campaign in 1984. He was initially viewed as a fringe candidate. He finished third for the Democratic nomination behind Vice President Walter Mondale and Senator Gary Hart. Gary Hart. He made another run in 1988. This is the one I'm more familiar with right here. Finishing as a runner-up to Michael Dukakis, who's still alive. He did not seek the presidency again, but in 1990, he was elected as the District of Columbia Shadow Senator. I don't know what that means. Yeah, he's regarded as one of the most influential African American activists of his era. Born to a single mother in 1941. He played quarterback at Indiana. Yeah. So, yeah, when he got his theological degree, and yeah, we way up. 2000. Yeah, we way up here, bro. We ain't even talking. Here is Dr. King. Here he is, 1965. He participated in the Selma to Montgomery marches. Dr. King was impressed by Jackson's drive and organizational abilities. King soon began giving Jackson a role in SCLC conference. Though he was concerned about Jackson's apparent ambition and attention seeking, when Jackson returned from Selma, he was changed. Yeah, that's Dr. King. That's back there in 1966. Operation Breadbasket. You know that stuff work. No, no, you can call your stuff what you want, but I'm saying this is back in the '60s. He got an organization, Operational Breadbasket. You know that's gonna get a lot of poor people's attention. Now you talking about a bread basket. He said he did massive boycotts as a mean to pressure white-owned businesses to hire blacks and to purchase goods and services from black-owned firms. Under his leadership, Operation Breadbasket held weekly wood shops in Chicago's South Side. It says right here, this was a this has always been a stain about Jesse Jackson. His critics will bring it up quickly. Um, Jackson got involved with Dr. King's SCLC leadership disputes. He got involved with SCLC leadership disputes after King's assassination. When King was shot, Jackson was in the parking lot, one floor below. He told reporters he was the last person to speak to King and that King died in his arms, an account that several King aides who were present disputed. In the wake of King's death, Jackson worked. I think there's a video or a photo, and that's where he says a lot of his people disputed. People believe that. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but people believe, and this is what I've heard. I don't, like I said, I don't know if it's true. They said the day that when King got shot, Jesse Jackson said he died in his arms. And then they said Jesse either cut his hand, he cut his foot or something so that he could put blood on a shirt. And they were interviewing him and he had a bloody shirt on. And they were saying that wasn't true, that was not Dr. King's blood. So I don't know. And they've been saying that about him. This was before he was running for office. That's been one of his main criticisms about. And even some people have went so far to allege that he was in on it. Reverend Ralph Abernathy. You know, see, we don't even use names like that no more. That's a slave name. Ralph Abernathy. Jackson was one of the few black activists who was preaching racial reconciliation. Jackson believed a conspiracy was involved in King's deletion. In 1978, he met for 4 hours with King's convicted assassin, James Earl Ray. He said that Ray was involved but did not delete him, and others were involved, still walking the streets. That's crazy, man. Even on this stuff, they got politics, man. But he did it, and somebody, well, if Dr. King and our civil rights movement taught us anything, it's the fundamental principle that all people deserve equal protection under the law. Discrimination against one group of people is discrimination against all of them. From centuries of legal slavery and Jim Crow segregation to classified as three-fifths of a human being in the U.S. Constitution to face anti-miscegenation laws that prevent blacks from marrying whites. You know what? And that is of all of those laws, man. They could have kept that there because there ain't no big deal there. I don't even see what the big deal on that is. I mean, you can get rid of it or you can keep it. I mean, because I don't even think there's a what's that chick? Shaw Jackson, I think. Yeah, there is something going on with her, bro. Oh, she a man, she that's now she like that, but yeah, his Wikipedia man is down to the floor, man. Said Willie Brown was his campaign manager. Jackson announced he would skip his tour of the Persian Gulf to attend a funeral. Mayor of Chicago, Harold Washington. So he skipped the tour. You can skip stuff. Mm. In 1975, Jackson endorsed a plan for a constitutional amendment banning abortion. He endorsed the Hyde Amendment, which bars the funding of abortion. Yeah. Hmm. He argued that the basis for Roe versus Wade, the right to privacy, had also been used to justify slavery and the treatment of slaves on plantation. Jackson decried what he believed was the casual taking of life and the decline of society's values. He later changed his views, saying women have the right and that the government should not intervene. Yeah, these people, see, they all flip flop, man. That's Trump. They all flip flop. They one way, then they flip flop to the other way. They talking about Marion Barry. Yeah. And The Trayvon Martin, 2012, Jackson joined the family. Man, this thing going long. This is long. Yeah, and unfortunately, man, he's passed away, brother. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, brother. And respect to Jesse Jackson, man. The Democrats went in there 6 hours. They spent maybe 45 minutes. Hillary and all of them. I don't even know if Hillary talked, but Bill got up there. It'd be interesting. Did Hillary talk? I didn't hear that. And this is a classic one. This one of them funerals, man, that people only come around after you die. Like the whole time you're alive, say a good 6 years you're fighting some type of struggle. You never see these people. You never see these people. If you see them, they stick their head in the door and they gone. If you see them, then you pass away and they all standing up. They all want to speak. They blocking the door. People can't come in because they running their mouth over here and there. Yeah, man, that's crazy, man. I've seen that too, brother. And that sort of reminded me of this when with Obama and Bill Clinton and Joe Biden going to his funeral. It reminded me of that because see, them dudes didn't mess with him like that. They didn't even associate with him like that. I don't even think they said he never went to the White House for 8 years. In my opinion, Obama wanted to distance himself from quote unquote black leaders because he never ran like that. Obama was a Democrat. He ran on the Democratic ticket. That was his whole point. So I'm not surprised by anything he did. But time flies though, man. When you look at the picture, man, when you look at the picture, time flies, man. You jump up and down, you snap your fingers. 20 years done went by. And then you look back, look at this picture. Jesse's dead. Jesse's deleted. Or Jesse's passed away. And look at Trump. Trump's the president. At the time, nobody would have thought this. Nobody in your wow. Nobody would have thought this. And then somebody said JD is finished. Yeah, I saw him sending him out to them dignified transfers. He's gonna be out there for a minute. But the Democrats went in there and disrespected that man's fam, bro. You got the join link drop, man. We'll take your thoughts. You got something to add? It's late night. You think the Democrats ruined Jesse Jackson's funeral? That's all everybody's talking about. Not even really talking about Jesse Jackson. I saw Megan Kelly. She was talking about this. She was basically doing what they were doing, but she wasn't at a funeral. That says Jesse Jackson Jr. rebukes Obama, Clinton, and Biden for not truly knowing his father. Well, they didn't know him. They did not know him. I didn't know. I'm looking at this thing. He got one, two. He got two kids. He named his son Jesse Lewis Jackson the fourth. He's a pastor. Okay. Yeah. That was a and he's getting on Obama, Clinton, and Biden. But yeah. But it sounds terrible, right? It sounds terrible, but it was actually a good thing, man. We need more black families. We need more strong families. We need more together families being displayed in America so that people understand the NBA young boys, the sexy reds, those people are trash. And that the only people who hype them up are you. The same people who criticize blacks for being that way, they're the ones who hype them up. You have plenty. They might not be as known or be as wealthy. There are plenty of together families like Jesse Jackson created, with five kids, and now the kids are grown, and they have grandkids for the father, and they get to share their world, share their life like that. There are plenty of people like that. We don't talk about it because all we talk about is negative things when it comes to black people. That's all they want to talk about, something negative. Who did what? Who did this? Or quote unquote, they're not black enough because they not ghetto, because his daughter didn't get run through and a bunch of she ain't a baby mama five times. Bro, we are messed up, man. And that's the system though, bro. When you weak, the system gonna crush you. That's what it's made to do. It's gonna crush you, man, just like a tomato, like a aluminum can. The system is made to crush you if you're weak. If you ball down, the temptation is supposed to be there. It's waving in your face. You just can't be weak. And you can't cave. You can't give up. You got to stand on your square. Trump and Jesse were good friends in the 80s. Yeah. In the 80s. Yeah. Trump was before, all this other stuff, but Trump was a regular dude back then. So you have to look at maybe he changed. Maybe. I'm not surprised by anything Obama did, man. I'm not. They saw opportunity, they seized it. And they did, man. They made that church. That's like the BET Awards, bro. The way they put that together. That funeral was like the BET Awards. The Democratic Party is incorporating more and more hip hop. More and more, they're putting the hip hop out there. He said black people still in love with the Democrats. Yeah, because they look at the Republicans as a bunch of racists. That's how they look at that. What can the Republicans do to change the messaging so that they don't come across as racist? Because right now, a lot of them look at them as racist. Thank you. You just answered your own question, brother. Trump back in the day did support Jesse Jackson, but this Trump that we have now, who knows, man? Who knows? I'm serious. I don't know what to say. So I used to be Republican, but became independent. Both parties are responsible for this nation's self destruction. I got to go into my forbidden words because these dudes got, stop putting that word in the chat box if it's possible. It's all Republicans need to say is we freed blacks from slavery. Okay, well, say it. There you go. Say it. It's racist in the Democratic Party, bro. It's anti. It's not. I'm gonna get into that, man. Jesse Jackson Jr. made it his point. Jesse Jackson Jr. made it a point to acknowledge that they disrespected the fam. They didn't listen to what they were told to do. They did what they wanted to do. And shout out to you. And we finna get up out of here though, man. We had to talk about this, man. And we made our point. The Democrats disrespected the family. That's wrong. Trump should have been there. He was wrong. And we out, man.